believe more in everyone, to help all the people. So I'm kind of taking it to more of a community-based thing instead of just, it was basically a prison outreach when it first started. So that's kind of where that is. That's where I'm at locally now, you know, and I've been clean sober now since 2002, September 5th, which here's another thing. Who knows what September 5th date is? Does anyone have any correlation? What happened on that day? How about September 5th, 1877?
Crazy horse.
Exactly. That was when he was killed up in Fort Robinson, about 100 miles north of where I grew up. And he's my ancestral lineage and stuff. And I did not know that the death of my former self was going to be the same day as the death of Crazy Horse, the day when my old way died and I was reborn again through these ways and everything that it gave to me and all that. So now I want to kind of shift just a little bit to some Lakota, since this is about I don't know if it's up there or not, piece on star knowledge and stuff. I want to talk about some of the places in our culture, and I got some notes here. Because I studied this stuff about 30 years ago. My second cousin is a Lakota teacher at Sinte Glushka University in South Dakota. And he got a bunch of knowledge with Ronald Goodman, another educator, anthropologist type person. And they did star maps of the Black Hills. So who knows the concept of sacred above is sacred below? I like to use a lot of audience participation because I like to see who understands that, you know, it makes me feel good that you have studied some of this stuff. So what happens in the stars happens down here, right? So when we're doing this, somewhere up there, our star ancestors are performing ceremony, doing the same thing. So when I started following the star ancestry knowledge 20 some years ago, like when Carl introduced me, when I started doing ceremonies, I wanted to do it more traditionally instead of like, I know there's one going on tomorrow up in the Black Hills, but really the energy was from the 19th through the 21st. Yesterday was the first day of the equinox, right? I like to stay in that 24-hour window. So I did a ceremony Wednesday night at our sweat lodge grounds, welcoming back the Waukegan Oyate. I've been doing it 20 some years. It's just a pipe ceremony and saying the prayers, and we sing all these Waukegan songs, and the Heyokas are tied to that direction with the horse and dog nation and the Waukegan Oyate. It's a higher spirit, the thunder beings and thunder nations. So I did that ceremony, and then I brought the coals from that ceremony and placed them at Serpent Mound yesterday as I walked it counterclockwise in the 4 directions to link up that ceremony with her. And then we put the coals in here, and they're going to put some more out down here today too. So that links up this whole weekend. But the whole correlation of that is the Black Hills. In the springtime, they would go through, who knows where Buffalo Gap is at, or ever been through there? So that's where the buffalo would go through, you know, their hoofs and everything, and they stampede up in there in the spring and out. That's where we go through in these ceremonies. So in the star knowledge up above, that's where the Lakotas would first go in, and then they would immediately move towards over there to the Harney's Peak. And it's now renamed the Black Elk's Peak. And that's the highest point. That's where they do the welcome back to Waukegan Oyate. They say in the folklore that that was where the thunder being, the big bird, the thunderbird would go and sit on his nest. To honor that in Sundance, what do we put as a crutch? Does anyone know? Sundancers? In the top of the Sundance tree, we put a crutch across the top where the Y is, and that is the Waukegan's nest. And we'll use like choke cherry branches and trees and stuff and honor that. That's where that thunder, you know, the lightning and stuff, that's like on the skull here that has the lightning, and that's a depiction kind of a Waukegan, but it's more like an eagle head like this with the thunder. But that's that Waukegan power that comes through the tree. And that 4th year of Sundance, we had a guy at my Sundance have a vision when I had this vision to have 4 guys pierce at the same time that I did. And so I already did the clown making ceremony, and then we were going to pierce later. And now I knew that west direction was my direction, right? So I went to the west, and then there was another man who liked that east direction. He was in a yellow skirt, and a guy in a red skirt went to the north, and a guy who had a white skirt. And we all cursed at the same time. And when they told us to break and we went back, there was 7 or 8 people there that had a vision of the thunder going down through the trees and out on our ropes and striking us when we all broke. That power came into all of us were connected to that. And it was really powerful that we were able to later on that day do that. They call it the healing round. And that's when the Heyokas come out and splash water and do jokes and stuff, and play around people. And who's ever seen that? And that's kind of what I do at Sundances now. I do that round when I go, and I'll be helping these guys this summer again. And that's kind of what I do there. But that's for that ceremony now. So that's why I'm tied to that. These other ceremonies in the Black Hills, when they go to different areas, they go to different constellations and stuff. And so they got like Buffalo Gap, I talk about, Wind Cave. Who knows what Wind Cave is? That's an emergent story, right? There's a man back there. So that was the birthplace of our people and of the Buffalo Nation. And they say that's the breath of life that goes through there. If you ever go through, you'll feel that wind come out. They do ceremonies there. They go and they kind of go with these constellations at certain times, even up to the winter time. That tells us the Dry Willow constellation, and it tells us when we can harvest our John Chasha for our pipes. And right now in spring now, when the sap's going through the red willow, now we can start harvesting our willows so we can build our anipes. So everything was aligned with the stars, right? As we went through these constellations, sacred above is sacred below. We followed that. And there's all kinds of cultures actually in the world that do that stuff. Then we got, here's the one that I'm kind of like, pace law. Who knows what pace law is? I'll just look at the top of my head. It's an old bald spot. So anyone like this gentleman back here that, yeah, we're bald. We would probably all go there and, hey, we feel at home here. But they go there in pace law, they call it the bald spot. It's an area, that's marked by this rocky overlooking, and they do ceremonies, and it's the midpoint of the ceremonies through the year where they meet there. And in that spot, no animals can be killed ever. They would never try to harvest any animals. It's real sacred. Then they would continue on, over the summer. They would go to a place called Greyhorn Butte. Who knows anything about that spot? Anyone ever see a movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Oh, you've seen it. Good. I did too. So Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Mato Teepee law, they call it too. It looks like bears clawing it, right? And it rose up. That was the site of our Sundance, the first Sundance, 1820, 1821, maybe around that time, when we were first gifted these 7 sacred rites, and that vision happened there. And that's the ceremonial first site of Sundance, a traditional spot. And that 7 sisters that were being chased by these bears, as they prayed, and this spirit came and helped them. That was from the stars. There's that star ancestry knowledge in our teachings. It made that rise up, and that bear couldn't get him, and it just kept clawing. So that's why it looks like claw marks up on the top of it. And then it raised them into the stars, these sisters, and now they reside in what constellation? Anyone know? There you go. See, I don't need to teach you guys anything. You all know this knowledge or anything, but I love that, because that's what really vibrates me in our cultures, all these teachings and stories. I could go on for hours and hours and hours and teaching this stuff, but I just wanted to touch on these few points. And then there's the Huntkalutawin site. Who knows where that is at? There you go. Yep. And so there's a lot of people around there that do this in the summer, right? So Sturgis, if you guys know where Sturgis is at, Black Hill Rally. And we hold that site really sacred too, and always Huntkalutawin's going on up there, and that's another site, that we go to. There's also a site where they collect rocks. What is the name of that one? That's what I always can't quite remember. Kaga, which means where the rock is gathered. That is in the very north part. It's actually out of the Black Hills, actually, just a little bit. So if you look from stars get up above the earth and you'll see a red racetrack around the Black Hills. You ever heard about that? That was a story that it was a race between two-leggeds and four-leggeds. And whichever one would win would have dominion over the other one that could actually eat the other beings. And the four-leggeds raced around, they kept in the two-leggeds, but they kept having, blood from their feet. And they marked that, and blood was from the blood of their feet. It was the magpie, I guess, right at the end that won the race for the two-leggeds, because it was just riding on that four-legged's back, and right at the end it flew off and won the race. Cheap magpies. Because birds walk on two legs, right? But us Lakota remember them birds, So that race, is why you see that red racetrack around the Black Hills. Now, who knows what they seen from the stars, the astronauts, when they filmed the Black Hills in a chronological thing of a year cycle and motioned it. You know what it does? It's shaped like a heart. It's really black. If you look all the way around Earth, that looks like a heart right there. And in that motion, it's beating. It's the heartbeat. We call that the heart of everything that is, the Black Hills. So if you go up there, it's like a living entity and you will feel it. I mean, if you really tie into the energies, you will feel all these weird places, like this energy that you feel just like a heartbeat. It's so sacred and beautiful up there, and it resonates with you. If you get there, you'll be healed after you spend 4 days there. And then Black Hills, you'll come out a changed person. I just want to touch on them things about the star knowledge. I didn't bring a lot of stuff like a PowerPoint. I have a lot of documents and stuff I could do. Maybe another time bring that back and show you on maps or anything. But I wanted to touch on them spots, and then there was just Lakota viewpoint I want to talk about the Big Dipper. So the story of that is it's a place where these 4 stars on the Big Dipper are what they call the carrier stars, and the other 3 on the handle are like the mourners. So when every single one of us in here were born and our spirits come from that spirit world, it's that cup of the Big Dipper that would carry our spirits and bring us to this earthly realm. And then other ones are mourners. And when we die, they do that and they take us back. So when our time has come and our spirit leaves our bodies, they take us back on that ghost road, which is the north to south road. And that Milky Way, and then back to the center where we go in creation and everything. And that's kind of our viewpoint on life. We're just here in these shells right now. But everyone in here, from these beautiful women over here that run this place, and their spirits and their minds and their bodies, that's that spirit that you really see in these people. If you really look at everyone around us, it's our spirit here that shines. Our minds, are something that ties to that, our hearts, but these bodies are really not really us. It's our spirit and everything that ties us all together. And so, my wish is for all of us in here is that we can tie into that and live the rest of our lives in that spirit, to really honor it, try to do the best we can. That's what I learned, like I said, when I had that death of me a long time ago. I learned to start loving myself again, have joy in my heart. I mean, life's not perfect, we struggle at times, but I can honestly say now I live there, and I can say I love you guys. I love, I don't have that fear anymore, like, oh, I need to check this person out and find out if I'm gonna like them or not. I don't even go there anymore. I'm just like, my wife said I can talk to anyone. She's like, who's that? Who's that? I said, I don't know. I'm just talking to them. I just go up to strangers and have conversations now. And I like to light up the room now, and bring that joy and everything. And I so loved it here last year when I came here, and I met all the people here that run this place. And the day I left, I felt so, when I said goodbye to Terry over there and Thomas and everyone that day I left, I was depressed. I left and I felt like, oh my God, I found some people that are like-minded like me, and that they're like my ancestors. and my family, from the stars that were sent down in this time in this place, and we're all here together now. And there was a lot more people here that was at the eclipse, maybe twice as many, because it was a bigger group and gathering. But it's like all these people that come here and help are all coming from different directions, and we're all tied together. I'm going to close now with just a couple of things, because in my culture, there's, that's not just our star knowledge, but I think they're all tied together. I've been doing some extra studies lately, and is there a man in here that follows Hindu? Is that you back there? I was studying some stuff about Hindu recently, and the distance between the Earth and the sun is how many Earths?
108 tons, right to the sun.
Yes, there we go.
108.
And so how many beads are on your mala? How many?
100.
With that one extra one, 9. So how much is the distance between the moon and the Earth? How many moons?
100.
There you go. So their star knowledge is depicted in that thing that they pray with, the mala. When they get to that point at the end, that 109th bead, that's the summer or the winter solstice point. And it's when it Heyokas and goes backwards and goes right back to the other direction. So they have a lot of star knowledge and stuff, and that's how they make their connection to their star ancestors and their religion and stuff, and show that. I'm glad other people have this stuff. This was kind of recent to me. Egyptians and Druid cultures, everyone studied that stuff too, right? Egyptian cultures and how they're tied to star knowledge and stuff and everything, and how all this mathematicians got everything from that, and that's how trigonometry and algebra and all this stuff, everything is all tied together right there. So they have their culture too. Druids, I was studying that within the last few weeks too, and so like that Celtic religious leaders. Barbara, do you have some of that background? Believe in all their star knowledge and stuff. I just wanted to tie all this together at the end, that it isn't just Lakota, Hopi, with all their stuff, and the tribes that are around here locally. Was it Shawnees around here mostly, or I think around here? So all their star knowledge. So the serpent mound over here is lined, astronomically, and it's all tied together. We all have the star ancestry in all of our cultures and everything. And for us Lakotas, that number 4, number 7 with them 7 stars, and then 4 being a sign of completion is what we all tie together, doing things in 4. So I know I at least have to make a completion here, at least come back here 4 times before I maybe feel really good about being more so a part of this family here. This is my 2nd visit, so you'll see me 2 more times, at least. And then if you feel like you have to kick me out, and I've been kicked out by other people before. I've gone through it. I had 2 wives kick me out of their lives, so. But anyway, I just want to end with that joke and everything, and I'm used to it. But my love for everyone in here is, I can say it just looking at each one of you. I have love for each one of you in my heart, and I carry it through this weekend. So, please come talk to me, approach me or anything, because I see it in all of you. You're all fantastic, beautiful people. And thank you very much.